To save my school beauty girlfriend, I was run over by an out-of-control car and my legs were crushed off. Sophia publicly slandered me. A carefully staged act of self-inflicted suffering meant to cling to the wealthy. She imprisoned me in a villa, put a collar on me, and made me live like a dog. My only sister Olivia begged on my behalf, but Sophia sent her to an exclusive private club where she was abused to death. My best brother Lucas came to see me, but only mocked me. A lowly aunt, being able to act as the campus beauty's dog is your good fortune. But at my sister's funeral, the two of them were holding each other, and in their cups they spoke the truth. That car accident was something I engineered for her from the start. Who told you to get in my way? Lucas threw the photo of my sister's brutal death in my face. Her life was the token I offered to Sophia. As for you, you're just the lowest piece in our game. It turned out that everything I had experienced was nothing but a game to them. I wore red form-fitting clothing, leapt from a tall building, and my body was obliterated. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the graduation celebration. The campus beauty, my girlfriend, was striding over confidently, and the runaway car was speeding straight toward her. My best brother Lucas stood by my side and bumped my shoulder. Ethan, look at Sophia. She really is dazzling. Whoever gets to be with her must have been blessed in a past life. There was a strange note in his voice that I had never noticed before. I said nothing. My gaze slid past the crowd and fixed on the corner of the street in the distance. There, a black sedan sat in an unnatural posture, poised to surge forward. Look, Sophia is walking toward us. Lucas whispered excitedly. Get ready to be my protector. I saw a calculating smile at the corner of Sophia's mouth. Her eyes passed over me, as if silently communicating with Lucas. Then she lifted her skirt and, with elegant poise, walked toward the roadside where I stood. Everything was exactly the same as in the last life. The engine's roar descended like the arrival of death, careening out of control toward Sophia. Screams erupted from the crowd. Get out of the way. Sophia's face showed just the right amount of terror, but her eyes were fixed on me, full of expectation. She was waiting for me to, like in a previous life, throw myself forward recklessly, shove her aside, and be swept under the car myself. Lucas was behind me, one hand already on my back, ready to give me a boost the moment I hesitated. This push will send me tumbling into a crippled hell. It will also propel him onto that lofty path paved with sacrificing brothers and currying favor with beauties. Time, at this moment, slows to an unbearable crawl. Scenes from my last life flash madly through my mind. The agony of a broken leg, the chill of the collar, my sister's despairing cries, and Lucas and Sophia's triumphant, gloating faces as they celebrated at my grave. To hell with so-called love and so-called brothers. In this life, I only want them to pay blood for blood. Just 1 second before Lucas threw his weight, I fainted and took a big step back. Lucas's palm pushed at air. He staggered, his face full of astonishment. The terror on Sophia's face turned into genuine shock and disbelief. In the blink of an eye, she had no time to react. Bang! A deafening crash. A black sedan slammed hard into Sophia. She was like a fragile scrap of paper, knocked flying, tracing an awkward arc through the air, then crashing hard to the ground. Blood instantly stained the hem of her pristine graduation dress red. Someone's been hit. Call an ambulance. Lucas was the first to react. He didn't go to check on Sophia. He rushed up to me, grabbed my collar, his eyes bloodshot. Ethan, why didn't you save her? How could you just stand there and watch her get hit? His shout was full of righteous anger, like he was judging a sinner beyond redemption. The people around us also looked at me oddly, whispering, "Isn't he Sophia's boyfriend? Why is he watching her die without helping?" Frightened dumb, I guess, but that's just too cold-blooded. Yeah, he was so close. One push, and he could have saved her. I stared coldly at Lucas, watching him act. In my previous life, it was precisely this moral blackmail from him that nailed me to the pillar of shame. I shoved his hand away, the force sending him back 2 steps. Save her? With what? My voice wasn't loud, but it was unusually clear. Trade my life for hers? Lucas, Did you rent your brain and forget to renew the lease? I'm just an ordinary person, not Superman. If you were so keen to be a hero, why didn't you rush in just now? My string of questions made Lucas's face instantly flush the color of pig liver. He opened his mouth, but not a single word came out. Yeah, who is he to tell me to die? The murmurs around quieted down, and some people began to look at Lucas with scrutinizing gazes. I ignored him and turned my eyes toward the car that caused the accident. The car door opened, and a man wearing a baseball cap ran out in a panic. Looking at Sophia on the ground, his face was ashen and he was babbling incoherently. No, it's not my fault. The brakes failed, really. I saw his eyes wander. When they landed on Lucas, there was a veiled fear in them. It was him, Jake. In the previous life, this was the person who took Lucas's money. The ambulance siren grew louder as it approached. Sophia was lifted onto a stretcher by the medical staff. As she passed by me, her eyes, which had been unconscious, suddenly opened a slit and, with a venomous look of hatred, glared at me viciously. I returned a smile. The game has only just begun. Sophia was rushed into the emergency room. Lucas and the Taylors, who arrived shortly after, waited outside. Anger was written on each of their faces. Sophia's mother, Emily, a well-kept society matron, saw me and immediately rushed over like a madwoman. You are Ethan? You murderer. If anything happens to my daughter, I will never let you off. A loud slap was about to land on my face. I turned my body to avoid it, and she hit air. Mrs. Taylor, speak with evidence, I said calmly. The driver responsible has been taken by the police. His brakes failed, not me. You yelling at me here. Do you think the Taylor family's power lets you turn black into white? Sophia's father Marcus looked like an imposing middle-aged man. He grabbed his wife and glared at me with a sinister look. Ethan, I don't care how the car accident happened, but you're Sophia's boyfriend. You were by her side and you didn't protect her, and that's your dereliction of duty. You must take responsibility. Take responsibility? I felt like I was hearing the biggest joke. Take responsibility for what? Medical bills are for the at-fault driver and the insurance company. It's not my place. As for dereliction, we're just boyfriend and girlfriend, not bodyguard and employer. You. Marcus was left speechless by my retort. They were used to looking down from on high, used to everyone bowing and groveling before them, especially someone like me, a poor kid whom they see as good for nothing. My insubordination offended them. Lucas egged them on from the side. Mr. Marcus, Mrs. Emily, don't waste your breath on him. Ethan is a cold-hearted coward. He just stood there and watched Sophia get hit. We were so close. He only had to reach out his hand. Shut up. I cut him off coolly. I walked up to him and looked him straight in the eyes. Lucas, you weren't far away either. Why didn't you reach out? Or were you busy thinking about something else at the time and didn't have the time? There was more implied in my words. A flash of panic crossed Lucas's eyes, but it was quickly overtaken by anger. What nonsense are you talking about? I was stunned by fright at the time. Oh, you were stunned, so you expect me to stay sober and go die. I laughed. Since when is that logic? The emergency room lights went out. The doctor came out and took off his mask. The patient is not in life-threatening condition, but her left leg is shattered. Even with good recovery later, she's likely to have lifelong aftereffects and will limp when walking. Boom! The news hit like a thunderclap over the heads of Mr. and Mrs. Taylor and Lucas. Sophia, a favored child of heaven, a future dancer, was going to become a cripple. This was more painful for her than being killed. Emily immediately went limp and collapsed, wailing and crying out. Marcus's face was ashen. The look he gave me seemed like he wanted to tear me apart alive. It's you. It's all your fault. If you hadn't stood by and watched, how could Sophia have ended up like this? He roared and swung his fist at me. This time I did not dodge. But suddenly there was another person by my side, standing in front of me. It was my sister Olivia. She had just returned from a business trip out of town. When she heard the news, she rushed over immediately, dusty and windblown. Don't you dare touch my brother. The sister spread her arms like a mother hen protecting her chicks. Her frail body was unusually resolute. Marcus's fist froze in midair. Who are you? I'm Ethan's sister. Olivia's voice trembled from urgency, but her gaze did not falter. My brother did nothing wrong. The accident was just that, an accident. You can't pin all the responsibility on him. Seeing my sister, my frozen heart finally felt a little warmth. In my previous life, I couldn't protect her. This time around, I'll risk everything to keep her safe. Lucas looked at Olivia, his eyes full of amazement, and he spoke with heartbreaking anguish. Olivia, you don't know, Ethan, shut up. I cut him off. Our family's affairs are none of your business. Then I took my sister's hand and said to Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, I'm sorry about Sophia's injuries, but this has nothing to do with me. If you keep harassing my family and me, I'll call the police. After speaking, I stopped looking at their contorted faces and turned, pulling my sister away. A furious roar from behind me. Marcus! Ethan, remember this. This isn't over. Back at the small apartment we rented, my sister looked at me with a worried expression. Ethan, what on earth happened? The Taylor family is not to be trifled with. Going head-to-head with them like this. Sis, do you believe me? I looked into her eyes. Olivia froze for a moment, then nodded firmly. Of course I believe you. Then that's enough. I hugged her. Sis, from today on, you don't have to be afraid of anything. I'll take care of everything. I didn't tell her about the rebirth. It was too incredible. I also didn't tell her about Sophia and Lucas's plot because I didn't have the evidence yet. But I knew the Taylor families and Lucas's revenge would come soon. I had to make perfect preparations before that. The next day, the school's campus community platform blew up. An anonymous post appeared with the headline, "Shocking. School beauty Sophia's car accident truth. Why did her boyfriend coldly let her die without helping?" The post exaggerated the crash scene, painting me as a cold-hearted jerk who watched his girlfriend get hit without so much as a flinch. Below were a few candid photos. One showed me taking a step back, my face expressionless. Another showed Lucas grabbing my collar, his face full of rage and sorrow. One photo showed Sophia lying in a pool of blood while I stood coldly to the side. Public opinion immediately turned overwhelmingly against me. My God, this guy is such a jerk, right? You can never judge a person by appearances. He usually acts so proper. Sophia must be blind. How could she fall for someone like that? Pity my goddess, I hope she's okay. Dox him. A scumbag like that doesn't deserve to stay at our school. Insults and curses came pouring in from all directions. I became the enemy of the entire school. I looked at those unspeakable remarks with no ripple in my heart. I had already gone through these tactics once in my previous life. The difference was that in my last life, I was speechless and tormented. And in this life, I only want to laugh. Lucas, your methods are still so crude. Soon, I received a call from Counselor Liam, asking me to come to the office. In the office, besides Liam, there were also Dean David and Marcus. David slammed the tablet onto the table with a stern face. The screen was displaying that very post. Ethan, look at what you've done. Because of you alone, how greatly has our school's reputation been affected? Marcus snorted from the side. Director, for students with such moral corruption, I think they should be expelled immediately as a warning to others. Liam, a young man who had just graduated not long ago, looked at me with some embarrassment. Ethan, do you have anything to explain? I pulled out a chair and sat down, as if I hadn't noticed their sour expressions. Explain what? Explain why I didn't fly over to block the car. I picked up the tablet on the table and pointed at the photo of me coldly stepping back. This photo is well taken, but the photographer seems to have forgotten to capture the other person. I looked at Marcus. Mr. Taylor, I suggest that next time you hire someone to take photos, be more professional and at least capture the panoramic view. What do you mean by that? Marcus's expression hardened. Nothing special. I put down the tablet and leaned back in the chair. I'm just reminding the teachers and Mr. Taylor that fabricating rumors online is illegal. The content of that post has already damaged my reputation. I've taken screenshots and preserved the evidence. As for expulsion, I smiled. Which law in our country says that failing to throw oneself in front of a car is grounds for expulsion? If such a law exists, Director, Please show it to me so I can study it. My attitude was neither humble nor overbearing, even a bit provocative. David's face turned bright red. He couldn't say a single word. Marcus probably didn't expect a poor student like me to speak to him that way. He trembled with anger. Good. What eloquence. He pointed at me. Ethan, don't get cocky. I'm telling you, this matter between the Taylor family and you isn't over. He slammed the door and left. The office fell into a deathly silence. Liam sighed and lowered his voice. Ethan, you were too impulsive. The Taylor family's influence in Weston City. Teacher, I interrupted him. If it were you, would you rush in? He was stunned. I stood up and straightened my clothes. If the school expels me because I didn't sacrifice myself, then I have nothing to say. I don't need that diploma anyway. I walked out of the office, sunlight pouring over me. But I knew this was only the beginning. The Taylor family will not let this go. As expected, in the afternoon, my sister called me crying. Ethan, I got fired from the company. They said that my younger brother's misconduct would affect the company's image. On the other end of the line, my sister's voice was full of grievance and helplessness. I clenched my knuckles around my phone until they went white from the pressure. The Taylor family, you really know how to push my limits. Sis, don't cry. Quit then. Good riddance to that lousy company. Go home first. Wait for me. After hanging up, I took a taxi straight to the hospital. Outside Sophia's VIP ward, 2 bodyguards stopped me. Mr. Taylor ordered that you're not allowed to approach the ward. I didn't force my way in. I just stood at the door and raised my voice. Sophia, I know you're awake. Call your dog, Lucas. I have something I want him to see. The sound of a cup shattering came from the ward. After a moment, Lucas came out with a sullen face. Ethan, what are you here for again? To watch Sophia make a fool of herself. I have no interest in your jokes. I pulled a small flash drive from my pocket and waved it in front of him. Inside this is the recorded call between you and the driver, Jake. Would you like me to play it here for Mr. Taylor? Lucas's pupils suddenly constricted. How did you get this? Lucas's voice shifted with fear. He lunged to snatch the flash drive from my hand. I easily dodged and slipped the flash drive back into my pocket. Want to know? I smiled. Fine. First tell me, you schemed and engineered that car accident for what exactly? To win Sophia over, or to get rid of me, the thorn in your side? Lucas's face went deathly pale, beads of sweat the size of beans rolling down his forehead. He couldn't understand how his flawless plan could have its evidence grabbed by Ethan. I don't know what you're talking about. What call recording? It's all forged by you. He kept insisting. Forged? I raised an eyebrow. Shall we go find Mr. Taylor right now and ask the police to come over to authenticate this forged recording? I made a move to walk into the ward. Lucas panicked completely and grabbed me. Don't go in. He was almost pleading. Ethan, we're brothers. You can't do this to me. Brothers? I felt like I had just heard the funniest joke of the century. When you set me up and were about to push me in front of the car, why didn't you say we were brothers? When my sister was expelled and unjustly punished because of you, why didn't you say we were brothers? Lucas, from the moment you decided to use my life to pave your way, all that's left between us is hatred. Each of my words was like a cold knife, driving into his heart. He was trembling all over, and the look he gave me was full of fear. The Ethan in front of him was completely different from the gentle, even somewhat weak Ethan he knew. He was calm and ruthless, like an avenger returned from hell. What do you want? Lucas asked, trembling. I don't want anything. I tapped his face, the motion flippant but carrying utter contempt. I'm just here to remind you. The game has begun. Go back and tell your master Sophia to enjoy her life while she can. Because soon, she won't even have the right to be a cripple. After saying that, I ignored him and turned to leave. I knew the seed of doubt had already been sown between him and Sophia. Their seemingly impregnable alliance was about to start collapsing from within. Sure enough, no sooner had I left the hospital than I received a call from an unknown number. On the other end of the line was a man deliberately speaking in a lowered voice. Is this Mr. Ethan? I'm Jake, the driver, the one who was driving. I know. Lucas, Lucas came to see me just now. He gave me a large sum of money and told me to leave Weston City immediately and never come back. He also threatened that if I dared to speak out, he'd make my whole family. So, you're planning to run? I interrupted him. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Mr. Johnson, I know they're trouble, but I don't want to carry someone else's black mark for the rest of my life. I looked you up. You're just an ordinary student. I'm afraid you can't fight them. You don't need to worry about whether I can fight them or not. My voice was very calm. I'm only asking you this. Do you want your wife and kids to spend their whole lives unable to hold their heads up, having people jab them in the back and call them the relatives of a murderer? Jake's breath hitched. I'll give you a chance. I continued. Send me all the transaction records and call recordings between you and Lucas. Then I'll give you a sum of money, enough for you to take your family to a new city and start over. At the same time, I guarantee the Taylor family and the Miller family will never trouble you again. How can I trust you? You have no choice. I sneered. You only have two options. 1, trust me. Take the money and leave. Keep your family safe. 2, don't trust me. Get silenced by Lucas right now, or be retaliated against by the Taylor family in the future. Make your choice. There was a long silence on the other end of the line and the sound of heavy breathing. After a long pause, he finally said, as if making up his mind, "Okay, I'll trust you this once. I'll send you everything. You must guarantee my family's safety. Don't worry, I'm Ethan. I keep my word." After hanging up, a cold smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Lucas, Sophia, your time of death is not far away. I didn't make any more moves over the next few days. I used the $200,000 I had won in the lottery from memory to rent a new place for my sister, so she could rest at home in peace without worrying about money. Of the remaining money, I took out $50,000 and sent it to Jake. After Jake received the money, he indeed sent me all the evidence, then left Weston City overnight with his family. I looked at the full recording of Lucas and Jake's transaction and the bank transfer records on my phone, and the smile at the corner of my mouth grew wider and wider. These are just the appetizer. The real feast is still to come. And the Taylor family and Lucas, seeing that I hadn't made a move in the past few days and thinking I was scared, began to escalate things. First, the school, ignoring the facts, issued a disciplinary notice saying I was of bad conduct, indifferent to life, recorded a major demerit, and revoked my eligibility for the Outstanding Graduate Award. Then the apartment I was renting. The landlord suddenly showed up, said he wouldn't rent the place anymore, ordered us to move out immediately, and offered to pay triple the breach of contract fee. I didn't need to think to know the Taylor family was pulling strings behind the scenes. My sister was furious and wanted to go confront them, but I stopped her. "Sis, don't waste time with them. Let's just move." But this is too much bullying. Those who bully us won't end well. I looked out the window, eyes deep. Just wait. They won't be able to carry on for long. The crazier they act, the worse their fall will be. Just as I was about to carry out the next step of my plan, an unexpected person found me. It was Sophia's father, Marcus. He asked to meet me at an upscale tea house. There were only the two of us in the private room. He no longer had the anger from the hospital last time. Instead, he seemed very calm and even poured me a cup of tea. "Ethan, let's not beat around the bush." He got straight to the point. "I know there may be more to Sophia's car accident than it seems." I picked up the teacup, blew on the steam lightly, and said nothing. Marcus is that kind of crafty old fox. He won't let the hawk go until he sees the rabbit. If he came to me, he must have discovered something. Seeing that I didn't respond, he continued. "I checked that hit-and-run driver Jake. He has already left Weston City with his family. Also, a large sum of money suddenly appeared in his account. This money was transferred from Lucas's overseas account." Marcus looked at me, his gaze sharp. "So this car accident was orchestrated by Lucas, right?" I put down the teacup and smiled. "Mr. Taylor, since you've already found out, why bother asking me? I want to know his motive." Marcus said in a low voice. "Sophia already told me. She had previously asked Lucas to stage a hero rescues beauty scene wanting him to make a splash at the graduation celebration so he'd be more deserving of her. But she didn't expect Lucas to go so far as to have someone actually run them over. Hearing him downplay a vicious plot as something done for my own good, I almost laughed out loud. What a lovely for my own good. In my last life, my legs were broken and I became a cripple. Was that supposed to be for my own good? So, in your eyes, Sophia is innocent, just a naive girl deceived by friends, right? I retorted. Marcus frowned, seeming very displeased with my attitude. Sophia can be a bit willful, but she's not bad at heart. She was only trying to treat you in her own way. Lucas exploited her trust and caused this disaster. The real culprit is Lucas. He stripped Sophia completely clean. I understand. He came to see me today, not to seek the truth, but to find an ally. An ally who could help him deal with Lucas, avenge his daughter, and at the same time shift all of Sophia's responsibility away. And I, the victim they had schemed against, was the perfect candidate. What do you want me to do? I asked directly. Very simple. Marcus pulled a document from his briefcase and pushed it toward me. This is evidence of the Miller Group's tax evasion and regulatory violations. As the project leader, once Lucas is exposed, his life is over. I need you to accidentally hand this over to the Tax and Economic Crimes Investigation Department. You're a student. If you report it, it will arouse the least suspicion. When it's done, he intensified his tone. I'll give you enough money to be set for life. And the Taylor family guarantees they will never trouble you or your sister again. What a slime move, using others to do the dirty work, then cutting them off afterward. He wanted to use me to topple the Miller family, and at the same time, make me the target of their furious revenge. And his Taylor family could sit back and reap the benefits. I picked up the document and pretended to read it carefully. Mr. Taylor, you're scheming. I could hear it from 800 miles away. Marcus's face darkened. Ethan, don't be ungrateful. This is your only chance. Otherwise, offend the Taylor and Miller families, and you'll find it impossible to move a step in Weston City. A naked threat. I closed the file and pushed it back. I appreciate your kindness, but my revenge, I prefer to take care of it myself. I stood up. The tea was good. Thanks for the hospitality. Stop right there. Marcus also rose, his face full of rage. You're refusing a polite drink and choosing a punitive one. Do you really think, as a poor student, you can shake the Miller family? Whether I can or not is none of Mr. Taylor's concern. I turned back and gave him a dazzling smile. But I can give Mr. Taylor a little tip. If you have time to worry about others, you'd be better off worrying about your own company's stock price first. After saying that, I left the tea house without looking back. The Taylor family's scheming, the Miller family's ruthlessness, Sophia's malice. I will settle these scores with them one by one, principal and interest included. But not using someone else's pawns. I'll do it my own way. I went home, turned on my computer, anonymously packaged all the evidence Jake had sent me along with some things I had organized myself, and sent it to several of Weston's most favorite gossip media outlets and marketing accounts. The subject line of the email was, Weston's Miller Group heir hires a hitman over love, colludes with campus beauty girlfriend to stage a blood sacrifice, and reverse the truth. Then I logged into the school's campus community platform, used a newly registered account, and posted. About the Ethan saw him die and did nothing incident. I want to say a few fair words with some evidence attached. In the post, I didn't argue violently. I simply calmly raised a few points of doubt. First, why did the out-of-control car so precisely strike Sophia? Second, why did Lucas, as the best brother, not only fail to clarify when Ethan was being cyberbullied, but instead be the first to come forward to accuse him and steer public opinion? Third, why did the Taylor family, with no evidence, immediately insist it was Ethan's fault and use their connections to suppress Ethan and his sister? Finally, I attached an edited audio clip. In the audio, only Lucas's voice can be heard. The money's already been given to you. Handle it cleanly. Don't leave any loose ends. Just say the brakes failed. The voice was very clear. Although no names were mentioned, combined with the context, it was enough to let people speculate wildly. The moment the post went up, it instantly detonated across the entire campus community platform. Some of the people who had previously insulted me began to waver, while others stuck to their guns and insisted it was fabricated. The two camps argued fiercely and could not reach an agreement. Public opinion began to quietly shift. As for me, I shut off the computer, stared at the night outside the window, and quietly waited for the storm to come. The next morning, the financial and entertainment sections across Weston City exploded. Miller family heir suspected of being driven by love. Hired a killer to stage a car accident. Family feud. Former brothers turned enemies. Whose pawn is the campus beauty girlfriend? Exclusive recording exposed. Miller Group heir Lucas deeply implicated in the car accident scandal. News flooded everywhere. Lucas and Sophia, and the Miller and Taylor families behind them, were instantly thrust into the eye of the storm. Miller Group's stock hit the daily limit down at the opening. Marcus called me. His voice was full of barely contained fury. "Ethan, was that you? Mr. Taylor, you could be casual with food, but you can't be casual with accusations. I'm just a student. What kind of power do you think I have?" I pretended not to understand while fully aware. "You think I can't find out? Investigate? Fine, go ahead and investigate." I gave a light laugh. "But I advise you to first think about how you're going to explain to your shareholders and partners why your precious daughter would be involved in a plot to hire someone to injure another person." I hung up the phone immediately. I knew Marcus must be furious right now. He wanted to use me as a pawn, but he didn't expect that I wouldn't follow his script at all. Instead, I dragged the Taylors down with him. Now the Taylor family, like the Millers, had become public enemies. This dog-eat-dog show has officially begun, and all I need to do is sit in the audience and enjoy the spectacle. The situation escalated faster than I expected. The Miller family and the Taylor family, in a panic, held a press conference and weakly explained that it was all malicious slander by business rivals, claiming the recordings were synthesized by artificial intelligence. But no one believed it, especially Lucas, who had been exposed by angry netizens until there was nothing left to hide. All his past dirt, bullying others with his power and toying with people's feelings, was dug up. And Sophia, too, had gone from a perfect victim to a scheming White Lotus. Her ambiguous relationship with Lucas and her schemes against me were all exposed. The label Viper Beauty was firmly pinned on her. The school couldn't withstand the pressure, rescinded the disciplinary action against me, and issued a statement saying it would cooperate with the police investigation and would not tolerate any illegal or disciplinary violations. The dean of discipline, David Harris, who had yelled at me the most, was reportedly severely scolded by the principal. Everything was moving in the direction I had envisioned. Just when I thought I could catch my breath for a moment, Lucas did something stupider than I expected. He actually showed up with a few guys and trapped me under the apartment building my sister and I had just rented. "Ethan, you fucking dare betray me." Lucas's eyes were bloodshot, his whole appearance frantic and haggard, like a cornered beast driven to desperation. The men behind him were clearly bad news at a glance. Tattooed arms, faces full of brutishness. I should have known long ago, only a bitch like you, would use such despicable tricks. He stepped closer to me, a twisted pleasure on his face. "You think hiding here means I can't find you? You think posting a few threads can take me down? How naive." "Today, I'll let you know what happens to anyone who offends me, Lucas." He waved his hand, and those men immediately closed in on me. I didn't panic. I just watched him quietly. "Lucas, are you sure you want to make a move here? There are cameras all around. Surveillance footage?" He laughed as if he'd heard a joke, bursting into manic laughter. "Do you think I'm scared? If I beat you into a cripple and throw you in the river to feed the fish, who would ever know it was me?" "Ethan, I'll give you one last chance. Hand over every backup you have, then kneel and kowtow to me 3 times, and I'll consider sparing your miserable life." He thought he had the game in the bag. I watched his hysterical state and shook my head. "Lucas, your biggest problem is that you're too arrogant." I took my phone out of my pocket and pressed the speaker button. Lucas's earlier arrogant voice came out of it. Beat you to a cripple, throw you in the river to feed the fish who would know it was me. Kneel and kowtow to me 3 times with loud claps, and I'll consider sparing your dog's life. The recording was crystal clear. Lucas's laughter cut off abruptly, the expression on his face freezing instantly. You recorded that? What else? I shook my phone. You think I would have no preparation at all knowing you'd come to ambush me? I had already guessed that with Lucas's personality, at the end of his rope, he would resort to the most extreme form of revenge. So I had earlier installed miniature cameras with audio in several hidden spots downstairs. Everything that just happened was recorded in full. Lucas trembled with rage. He shouted at the men, "What are you standing there for? Grab his phone. Kill him." The men exchanged a glance, their faces hardening as they lunged at me. At that moment, several blinding headlights suddenly swept over us. Accompanied by the screech of brakes, several black sedans instantly surrounded us. The car door opened, and a group of bodyguards in black suits and sunglasses quickly got out, surrounding Lucas and his men. Leading them was a middle-aged man with a stern face. He walked straight up to me and gave a slight bow. "Mr. Johnson, our boss apologizes for startling you." Lucas and his gang were all stunned by this sudden turn of events. Who are you?" Lucas asked, his bluster revealing his inner weakness. The middle-aged man ignored him and simply waved to the bodyguards behind him. "Take them all away and hand them over to the police." Intimidation, threats, intent to cause bodily harm, plus the previous charge of hiring a hitman. Mr. Lucas will have plenty of time to reflect in there. The bodyguards immediately stepped forward and, like catching chicks, subdued Lucas and his men. Lucas struggled wildly, roaring, "You can't arrest me. My father is the chairman of Miller Group. Do you know what happens to those who offend me? Ethan, it's you. You did this again." I walked up to him, crouched down, looked at his pathetic state, and laughed. "I've always said I prefer to take revenge myself." Lucas was forced into the car. Even after the car drove off, his murderous glare remained fixed on me. I stood up and looked at the middle-aged man. "Thank him for me." "Mr. Johnson, you're too kind." The middle-aged man handed me a business card. "The boss said if you need anything, you can call this number anytime." I took the card. It only had one surname, Quinn, and a phone number. I didn't ask any more questions. I knew that this Mr. Quinn was probably the business rival of the Miller family that Marcus had mentioned before. I exposed the evidence, which not only struck at the Miller family and the Taylor family, but also indirectly helped him. Now that he's come forward to help me, it's both reciprocation and an investment. There is a difference between one enemy and 2 enemies. He wants my blade to be a little sharper. I put the business card away and gave him a nod. "Thanks for tonight." After this little episode, the news of Lucas's arrest once again exploded across the city. Miller Group's stock promptly hit the daily limit down again. When the wall falls, everyone kicks it. Opponents who had been suppressed by the Miller family before began to strike back one after another. Banks demanded loan repayments, and business partners terminated contracts. The vast Miller Group trembled and teetered in an instant, and the Taylor family was no better off. Although Marcus did everything he could to exonerate Sophia, faced with the solid evidence, all his defenses seemed pale and powerless. Sophia's image as Weston City's #1 socialite completely collapsed. She became the scheming woman and vicious supporting character everyone condemned. It was said that in the hospital she smashed things every day and her mental state had already been on the brink of collapse. I can finally have a few peaceful days. I moved with my sister and bought a small house in a pleasant suburban area of Weston City. Not big, but very cozy. The yard is planted with all the flowers my sister likes. I thought the trouble would end there. I thought I could start a new life with my sister. But I had underestimated Sophia's madness. That day, I was watering the plants in the yard when my sister suddenly burst out of her room in a panic. "Ethan, look at the news." I took the phone she handed me. On the screen was a live video. The location was the rooftop of Weston's tallest landmark building, the Peak Tower. And at the edge of the rooftop sat a familiar figure. It was Sophia. She was wearing a white hospital gown, one leg in a cast, sitting on the edge of a rooftop hundreds of meters high, her legs dangling. At any moment she could fall. Below, fire trucks, police cars, and the media had already gathered in a crowd. Countless cameras were pointed at her. A reporter screamed hoarsely into the camera. "We can see the person involved is extremely agitated. As we understand it, this young lady is none other than Sophia, the heiress of Taylor Corporation, who was recently at the center of the car accident scandal. Why is she here? And why did she choose such an extreme way to do this? Is there some hidden truth behind it that we don't know?" In the video, Sophia suddenly cried out pitifully to the camera. "Ethan, I know you're watching. Why wouldn't you come see me? Do you really hate me that much? Everything I've done is because I loved you so much. Now I have nothing left. My reputation, my leg, my whole life is ruined. Are you satisfied? If you don't show up, I'll jump from here. I'll use my life to wash away my sins." She threatened to kill herself. She wanted to use one last act of moral blackmail to nail me to the pillar of shame. If I went over, it would confirm that she was trying to die because of me, and I'd be vilified by everyone. If I didn't go, and she really jumped, I would become the murderer who drove my ex-girlfriend to her death. What a move, retreating to advance, placing me in mortal danger to be reborn. Sophia, you really, even to the death, won't let me go. My sister looked at me worriedly. "Ethan," I turned off the video and picked up the car keys. "Sis, wait at home for me. I'm going out for a bit." "You're going to find her? You can't go. It's a trap." My sister grabbed me. "I know." I patted her hand, my gaze cold. "I'm not going to save her. I'll go to see her off." When I arrived at the foot of Pinnacle Tower, it was already packed tight with people. I didn't enter through the main entrance. Instead, I went around to the back alley of the building. The business card Mr. Quinn gave me came in handy. I made a call, and in less than 10 minutes a man who looked like a property manager, Noah Foster, was respectfully waiting at the back door. "Mr. Johnson, Mr. Quinn has already given instructions. Please follow me." He led me into the staff-only elevator, and we rode without obstruction all the way up to the rooftop. The rooftop door was locked. Outside were the police and a negotiator. Marcus and his wife Emily were there too, crying their hearts out. "Sophia, come down now. Don't scare Daddy. We can talk about it at home. Don't do anything foolish." Sophia ignored their cries, staring blankly into the distance while muttering my name over and over. "Ethan, why aren't you coming yet?" I told Noah to stay quiet and quietly walked to the door myself. Through the small window in the door, I could clearly see her pale face and those eyes full of despair and calculation. She didn't really want to die. She just wanted to use this method to win the final round. She was certain that, with everyone watching, I wouldn't dare not save her. I watched her performance coldly. The negotiation expert held a megaphone, still earnestly pleading. "Ms. Taylor, calm down. Your boyfriend, Mr. Ethan, is already on his way. If you have anything to say, wait until he arrives and say it to his face." Hearing my name, a glimmer finally lit up in Sophia's eyes. She knew her scheme had succeeded. She adjusted her sitting posture, gathered her emotions, and prepared to begin her next performance. Just then, my phone rang. I had purposely turned the ringtone up to the maximum. The sudden ringtone startled everyone at the rooftop door. They all looked over at me. Marcus saw me as if he had seen a savior and immediately rushed over. "Ethan, you're finally here. Go persuade Sophia. She only listens to you." I ignored him and just answered the phone. It was my sister calling. Her voice was very anxious. "Ethan, where are you? Don't do anything rash." "Sis, I'm fine." I raised my voice on the phone deliberately to make sure Sophia on the rooftop could hear. "I'm just here to watch the spectacle. After all, you don't get to see a rich miss jumping off a building for attention every day." My words were like a stone thrown into a calm lake. Everyone stared at me with incredulous expressions. Marcus trembled with anger. What did you say?" Sophia, at the edge of the rooftop, suddenly froze. She couldn't believe what she had heard. Ethan arrived, but he wasn't there to save her. He was there to watch the spectacle. This Sophia is really something, I continued into the phone. She teamed up with another man to scheme against me, and ended up ruining herself. Now that it's all exposed, instead of taking responsibility, she runs up to the roof to put on a show and try to dump all the dirt on me. Does she think she's the center of the world? That if she cries, causes a scene, and threatens to hang herself, everyone has to orbit around her? It's laughably childish. Don't worry, sis, she won't die. People like her are more afraid of death than anyone. Her making a scene now is just to force me to step in and take the blame, so she can play the crazily in love victim to win public sympathy and make a comeback. Too bad. I won't give her that chance anymore. I laid bare her petty, despicable schemes in the full light of day. The rooftop entrance was deathly silent. Everyone stared at me in stunned silence. They probably had never seen a man so cold-blooded and heartless. And Sophia on the rooftop had completely collapsed. No, that's not. You're lying. She screamed hysterically, looking exactly like an out-of-control beast. Ethan, you liar. You devil. I loved you so much. Why would you do this to me? She cried and shouted while frantically waving her arms. Her foot suddenly slipped. Ah, a short, sharp scream. Her body instantly lost balance, like a falling leaf, tumbling off the edge of the rooftop. Everyone drew a cold breath. The Marcus couple let out an even more desperate scream. Sophia. However, Sophia did not fall straight down. The fire department had already laid out a huge safety air cushion downstairs. She fell from just the right height to land in the center of the air cushion. The person wasn't dead, but her act of threatening to die to win sympathy ended in an extremely ridiculous and humiliating way. The reporters downstairs went crazy. Flashes went off like mad, capturing this historic moment. Taylor Harris's suicide jump show, twist after twist. Ex-boyfriend exposes her plot live. The year's drama. The wealthy family's lovesick woman turns out to be a scheming bitch, threatens suicide, and becomes a joke. I've already thought up tomorrow's headlines for them. I hung up the phone and glanced at Marcus, whose face had gone ashen. Mr. Taylor, your daughter. It seems she really did jump from the upper floor. But don't worry, she won't die. It's just that from now on, not only might her legs be crippled, her mind could also become a laughingstock. I dropped that sentence, turned on my heel, and left amid everyone's complicated looks. This farce should come to an end. Sophia's suicide show became the final straw that broke the Taylor family. Taylor Corporation's stock price completely collapsed. Marcus tried to save the company by asking everyone for help, but ran into obstacles everywhere. In the end, because he had previously embezzled funds to fill the holes and was reported, he was thrown into prison. The Taylor family was completely finished, and the Miller family wasn't doing any better. Lucas was convicted on multiple counts and given a total sentence of 15 years. The Miller Group was carved up by several business rivals working together, and the biggest winner was Mr. Quinn. The two once arrogant great families vanished into thin air in just 1 month. I left Weston City with my sister, completely leaving that place of trouble behind. We went to a picturesque southern small town. Shigu Town. With the money I'd left, I opened a small bookstore. My sister, meanwhile, filled the yard beside the shop with the flowers and plants she loved. Life was calm and peaceful. One day, I received a phone call from a stranger. On the other end of the line was a woman's voice, hoarse and frantic. Ethan, it's you. You ruined everything for me. It was Sophia. I said nothing, listening quietly. I won't let you off. Even as a ghost, I won't let you go. Just you wait. You just wait for me. She raged hysterically over there, cursing. I gave a light laugh. Sophia, you seem to have gotten one thing wrong. It wasn't me who destroyed you. It was your own greed, malice, and stupidity. As for becoming a ghost, we'll talk about that after you die. I hung up the phone immediately and blocked the number. Sunlight streamed through the bookstore's floor-to-ceiling windows, warm and cozy. My sister came in from the backyard, carrying a plate of freshly sliced fruit, a gentle smile on her face. "Ethan, what are you thinking about?" I shook my head and I smiled. "Nothing, just thinking about how nice the weather is today." Yes, the weather is truly nice. In my previous life, I wore tight red clothing and leapt from a tall building, my body reduced to nothing. In this life, I stand in the sunlight, watching my beloved sister, peaceful and content. How wonderful. I think this is probably the true meaning of rebirth. Not for revenge, but to obtain a new life.